Question I've got for you is a lot of people are always kind of trying to choose the cheapest agent, and as you've always said, the cheapest agent can be the most expensive. But when it comes around to advertising, again, I find some of the agents say, well, we'll actually pay for your advertising for the property. Now, is that a warning sign that maybe there's a hidden charge in there and cheap might not be cheerful?
Yeah, so this concept of no sale, no charge, it worries me because it's basically, well, firstly, let me just say, no sale, no charge is fair. Basically, what you're saying is we're not going to sell it, so we're not going to charge you for it. But I don't think that's what a vendor wants. I don't think a vendor wants to go onto the market not to sell their property. I think a vendor goes onto the market because they want to get a premium price. You know, Chris, it would be like someone saying, I'm going to fly to Bali, and the airline saying, OK, we'll give you this figure, but don't worry, if you don't get there, we won't charge you for it. I don't think people want that, you know. I think people want to get to their destination. So to me, there's two things, Chris. When I get the alarm bells when I hear an agent say, don't worry, we're going to cover the advertising. Because, Chris, it'd be like me lending you money, which is what essentially happens when the agent is paying for the advertising, and then that agent wants to get their money back. So what actually happens is they've got a conflict of interest, and that conflict of interest is I will sell it to the first buyer, not to the best buyer, because that agent wants to recap and get back the money that they've lent out for the advertising. That would be the thing that concerns me, Chris. I also think that when an agent says that they're going to pay for the advertising, they may pay for some advertising, but they're going to cut corners, and they're not going to do a full marketing campaign, and they're not going to launch the property on the market the same way you'd have a normal company that launches a product, and that is that they do an extensive broad-based marketing campaign. So it worries me that the agent's going to want to cut corners in the advertising campaign. I'd rather a vendor cut the fee a little bit than cut the advertising campaign.
Because I guess what a lot of vendors forget is that if the agent's getting, say, 2% plus GST, then on $1 million property they're getting 20 grand. But the incentive to sell it for 1.1 and work really, really hard, they get 22. So they make another 2 grand, of which they only get half, and they pay tax on it. It's another 500 bucks. So there is actually no incentive under those normal 2% commissions for the agent to work really, really hard, unless he's a very, very good agent and really wants to get those top prices.
Yeah, I agree, Chris. And, you know, sometimes I would encourage a vendor to look at what I call a performance-based fee, where they say, well, look, if you sold the property for $1 million, you know, we'll give you 2% plus GST. But if you sold it for, you know, anything over that, we'll give you a bonus of an accelerator of, say, 10% for every 100,000 over that. So I'm in favour of that. But the one thing that I'm not in favour of is having a vendor actually keep the biggest asset that they've got hitting the market and keeping it a secret. That's not the time. You want to get out on the top of the mountain and tell people this home is better than every other home on the market. Pick this one.
You can't sell a secret, Tom. All right, good to see you, Tom. We'll see you again next week.
Thanks a lot, Chris.